Computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
Okay. I see double jumping. To have it bigger, and then let's move it to the end of the world. So we have to reach this part to finish the level, like this. Let's rename this object to finish. When we hit this object, when we reach the finish of the box colored audio source, on which we set the finish sound effect that we've already prepared, and we uncheck play on awake. And then we put everything together in a finish. Script. So we go into Assets, Scripts, right click, create new C# script. I'm simply gonna call it finish. I drag it onto the finish object to add it as a component. Then double click the script to edit it in Visual Studio. So we don't need update this time because we don't want to do anything in each frame, but we will need start, which we make private, of course. And here at the top, we first of all create a variable for the audio source, which we call finish sound. But this time we don't need to make it a serialized field. This time we can use get component. Why? Because we only have this one audio source on our finish object, so there's no ambiguity. So we assign finish sound to a get component, and we want to get the audio source component of this finish object.
Okay, perfect.
To detect collision with our box colliders, then we want to finish. So reach before is equal to player with two. control signs. Then first of all we wanna play the finish sound and then complete the current level and load the next one. And we put this logic into a separate method for better organization. So below, on trigger enter 2D, we create private void, complete level, and of course the name is up to you. Now we will write the code for this method in a moment, but first of all, let's call this method here, complete level, and then prepare our second level, because only then we can load it, of course. So let's go back into Unity. Now before we create a second level, let's make sure that let's call this method here, complete level. And then prepare our second level, because only then we can load it, of course. So let's go back into Unity. Now before we create a second level, let's make sure that all the reusable items are prefabbed, so that when we make changes to it, the changes will be applied in all our levels. So player, cherries, our different traps. The only thing that's missing here basically is the finish line. I also want to reorganize the hierarchy here a little bit. This is just personal preference. I want to change the order so it makes more sense to me. So we have the event system on top. Then I'm gonna put the background music below it. But again, this is completely personal preference. The order here doesn't matter at all. This is just how I like it. Canvas, collectibles, traps, moving platform. I think this is fine. And then to create a second level, we go to assets and to scenes, because remember, a scene is basically a level in Unity. Now the scene we have opened here is called sample scene by default, and I want to change the name of the scene to level 1. But before we rename the scene, it's important that we save it first, because when we rename it, it will be reloaded and all the changes since the last time you've saved will be lost. So hit Ctrl S, or alternatively click here on File and then on Save, and that's it. Our scene is saved and we can safely rename it. Then we click on it, right click, rename, or on Windows you can hit F2, and then I'm gonna call it level 1. And if everything worked correctly, the scene should still look the same as before. Then I want to duplicate this scene for level 2, because this is the easiest way to create another level without having to add all the different game objects from scratch again. So we click on it and press Ctrl D, and it automatically renames the new file to level 2, which is very convenient. And when we double click this file, we open level 2, which of course looks the same as level 1 because we duplicated it, but we can see up here that we have level 2 opened now. And then I want to redesign this level 2 because of course having the same level 2 times would be very boring. Now let's go to the assets folder, Pixel Adventure, Assets, and then on background, because I want to use a different background image for the second level. So we open our tile palette under Window, 2D, tile palette. Gonna drag it over here. And then the same as we did for the first background, we just have to drag it in, but we have to make sure that we have set it to 16 pixels per unit. Let's actually do this for all these graphics at once, so we don't run into problems later. Pixels per unit 16, apply. Then of course we have to slice up the image into its 16 by 16 pieces. And for the second level I'm gonna use the pink one here, but it's up to you. Okay, and as a refresher, we slice this image up by changing the sprite mode from single to multiple. Open the sprite editor, click apply here, slice, grid by cell size, and then 16 times 16. And then we hit slice. Then apply, and then we can close this. Switch to the tile palette, drag this pink background over here wherever you like it, and save the single tiles in the tile sub. Drag this pink background over here wherever you like it. And save the single tiles, one here, tile map, and then we can just use this, get a bit bigger because the world will be a bit longer. like this maybe. And now I will build the second level, and I will fast forward this because you already know the process. I select just so, and then just build the level that you want. I have a few more traps and a few more tricks. Try to make it a bit more dangerous. At the level
Liftoff of mission 41B, the first flight of the orbital Discovery, and the shuttle has cleared the tower. Discovery's core computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
Okay, let's take a look at the level. Make sure to hit auto file and on build settings. And in this window we have to add our levels so we can switch between them from within our C# code. So here we click on add open scenes, which should add your level 2 now. Again, I will cover the rest of this stuff in a separate tutorial. This is how you can actually export your project to these different platforms. We don't need this now, we just need to add it here and pay attention to this index here. So level 1 has the index 0, level 2 has the index 1, and any additional level we add in the future, or any additional scene rather, has an index of this +1 basically. So we close this. And then we want to continue setting up our finish script, because right now when we get to the finish line we just play a sound and that's it. We also want to go to the next level, right? So we go to assets, scripts, and open our finish script. And now after we have added the second level to the build window, we can load it from our code. So first of all we need the scene management namespace again, as we already added in player live when we reloaded the current level. So up here below, using Unity Engine, we write using next level by its index with one line of code. Scene manager dot load scene, but this time we don't want to reload the current scene, instead we want to load the next scene. So we write scene manager dot get active scene, which again is the current scene, dot build index, which is this little number in the build window on the right side, so 0 for level 1 and 1 for level 2. So this is the build index of the current level, and we want to add 1 to it to load the next level. And that's it. Of course, eventually you will run out of build indexes, right? We don't always have a next level. This is why we have to add a game over screen or a game end screen, where we then don't load another level. We will do this in the next part, but for now we just keep it like this. And now when we touch the finish line, we should load the next level. So let's save this, go back into Unity. Which is level 2. Let's click to the switch to the next level was very abrupt, which I don't like, because we want to hear the sound effect and then after a short moment, like maybe 2 seconds, I want to switch to the next level. We can actually do this quite easily. For this we go back into our finish script. And instead of calling complete level here directly, we want to call it with a delay. And we can do this by using the invoke method instead, which takes the method name we want to call as the first argument. So this is complete level as a string, comma, and then a number for the duration in seconds we want to wait before we call this. It's a float, so I'm gonna pass 2f semicolon, and now this will be called not immediately, but after 2 seconds after we have collided with the finish line. Now when we wanted to delay the restart level method earlier, we used an animation event, but this time we don't have an animation, because we are not executing any particular animation when we hit the finish line. This is why we use invoke instead. Then of course we have to delete this call down here, otherwise we will still call it immediately. Save the script, go back into Unity and try it out. So I'm gonna go all the way to the finish line. The fun is real. Try not to die here. And when we hit the finish line, we hear our sound, and after 2 seconds we load the next level, which in my opinion looks much cooler than switching to the next level immediately. But there's actually still a bug in our code. Let me show you this by running the game again, and then I'm gonna go all the way to the finish line. And now when I touch the finish line, we hear our sound and then we wait 2 seconds, right? But this also means that we can walk away out of the collider and into the collider again and then hear the finish sound again, which isn't great, it's a bug. So let's try it out. Sound, sound. But we can fix this very easily. So let's go once again into our finish script. We can add a simple boolean variable here to check if we already touched the finish line. So up here we create a private bool, not as a serialized field because we only need it in here and it's not managed in the editor. We call it level completed and set this to false initially, because of course when we start a level it's not completed yet. Then here in the collision detection, we also check with 2 ampersand signs if the level is not completed. And the not operator in most programming languages, including C#, is an exclamation mark. So we write exclamation mark level completed, which means that we check that this is false, the level is not completed. Only then we want to execute this part here. And we also want to set level completed to true.
Hello, hey, what's up? Yeah, we got 30 today. Pretty cool. I just need to get my average up. Average keeps going down every day.
Then the next time when we collide with the finish line, this will evaluate to false and we won't execute this part again. But of course we will still load the next level because we already touched the finish line earlier. Now our bug should be gone. So let's save this, go back into Unity. Then the next time when we collide with the finish line, this will evaluate to false and we won't execute this part again. But of course we will still load the next level because we already touched the finish line earlier. Now our bug should be gone.
Want to see the game so far? It's pretty cool.
So let's save this, go back into Unity and try it out once again. Sound and no sound again. Perfect. So this bug is fixed. Now every level in our game works independently from the other levels. So when we, for example, collect 4 cherries here and then get to the next level, we start at cherry 0 again. Which makes sense, I mean we start collecting from scratch again. But it's also possible to keep game objects alive across levels, but again I won't cover this in this tutorial. I will cover this separately in a different tutorial, in a different video. And of course you can also use different background music in your level tour. This is very easy, just change the track in BG music. And before we finish this part, I want to do a few small corrections. First of all, as I already said, we forgot to loop the animation of the moving platform. Fixing this is very easy. We just go into our animations folder, search for the moving platform animation, not the controller but the animation with this rectangle, and click loop time. And that's it for that part. Then I want to go to the dev animation of the player again. So I open the animation window, select the player in the hierarchy, select player dev, and what I just want to do is I want to put this event a little bit further behind to 116. Otherwise the dev sound is cut off before we load the next level, which sounds a bit ugly. So I just put this here and that's it. So now after we have died, the delay before we restart the level is a bit longer, so the dev sound can finish playing. Then I also forgot to set up the boundaries of the box collider of the finish line. I mean, this would also work, but I think we can make it a bit smaller, and this is also a good opportunity to see prefabs in action. So instead of changing it here on the finish object of the scene directly, we click on this right arrow to get to the prefab. And now all the changes we make here will be applied to all our finish objects in both scenes. So here I added the box collider, make it a bit smaller, doesn't have to be perfect, I mean it's just a finish line, or maybe like this, and that's it. Now when we save the scene and open the other scene again, the changes should be applied to the finish line there as well. So Ctrl S, Assets, Scenes, and I open level 2 again. Go to the finish line, and as you can see the box collider is changed here as well. And that's really the purpose of prefabs. And then I also want to add an animation to this finish line because right now it doesn't have one and it looks really weird. Again we do this in the prefab. Then I'm gonna go to the animations folder, and we have already done this 1,000 times, so I'm gonna fast forward this. The only thing that's important is that you add the animation to the prefab. So this is how our animation looks, and of course the pink part here in the background doesn't belong to it. It only looks like this because we have the prefab selected. This is how the animation looks, and of course we have to set it to looping. So loop time, save the scene, and then I'm gonna reload scene 1 again to see if the changes are applied. So when we run this and select the scene viewer, we should be able to see it. And there it is. Looks much better, right? I don't want to add more levels in this tutorial besides these 2 because I don't want to be too repetitive. We already know all this stuff. But of course you are free to add as many levels as you want. And do me a favor, if you have designed a really cool level, maybe post it on Instagram or Twitter and tag me there. Tell me, hey Florian, I'm following your tutorial and I've built this nice level and I'm really interested in this kind of stuff. It makes me very proud to see this. And my handle on both Instagram and Twitter is coding in flow and all lowercase. So I'm looking forward to this. And in the next part we will set up a start screen for our game and an end screen, and then our game is basically complete. So I'm looking forward to this. I hope you watch this as well, and then I see you there. Take care. Okay, unless